Good evening. This is Tony Dattino, Memory Championship. And of course it is 5 o'clock hour, and you know, yes, I have done my, and in doing my weekend reading and looking at the different magazines that I through in terms of news reports, I don't know where to start. But I'm going to do two broadcasts this week. One is from the current issue of New Scientist magazine. So I'm going to save this for my Wednesday broadcast. There's a lot of good material in here on friendships and what we seek and what we look for. But I just felt that there were two other ones that I wanted to put together tonight that really just drive me crazy. And it starts with face mask until 2022. And the children of the pandemic and their impact. Where do I want to start? I'm going to try to be as calm as possible, might be the best word to use, but it just continues to drive me crazy when I hear a variety of politicians that espouse to follow the science. Follow the science. And here you go, face masks will be needed until 22, until you go down to the bottom of the article and you see this graph. And this is the science that we're supposed to follow. Expectations of resuming normal activities. These are responses from 52 disease experts to the question, when will you personally expect to do the following? Invite relatives and friends into your home. And it starts with the second quarter of 21 and goes all the way to 2020. And the numbers are spread throughout the quarters of the 52 disease experts. So what science would you like me to follow? Would you like me to follow the scientist that is recommending that we second quarter of 21? Or scientists that suggest we should hold on until 2023? Yet we're going to follow the science. So much for scientific study and the duplication. It frustrates me. Eat or drink at a pub, cafe, or a restaurant. Well, there's a good number of them think we can start in the second quarter of 21, but there's also a couple that are hanging out to the end of 2022 and early 23. So who's going to the pub and who's eating in a restaurant? Now, we are eating in restaurants here, but we're eating it outdoors or we're taking it home. But we are clearly distancing. We've eaten only a couple of times since our vaccines, but we are eating at a far distance, that's probably more than 12 feet from the person on the table next to us, so we don't eat there. Go to a movie theater or a cultural venue, I'll call it basketball tournaments and things. We see people doing that now. There's not much about the second quarter of 21. We're going to start picking up third quarter of 21, and we're going to go all the way into 2023. Follow the science. I guess they should tell that to people in NFL stadiums and NCAA basketball tournaments that are coming up. Not sure who's going to be live or not, but MLB, you're not following the science because it's not until 23 might you be doing this. So there's the ambiguity of what scientists come up different pictures of things. And it basically gets me to where you hear me all the time talk about science. Right? You hear me talk about the science of memory and our brains and infinite creativity. And it amazes me in my 25 years of doing the work and working with people. So my science is based on people. My research has worked on people. And I'm an observer of people. I learned years ago of just sitting on a bench in Disney parks, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, sitting and watching people. There's your science. What are people basis. In studying the science of our brain health, I reached the conclusion early in 2020 that the lockdowns that we were going to have and the quarantining that we were imposing was going to have significant impacts on people's mental health. Because a brain health principle is social interaction is an imperative for human brain development and growth. And it's hardwired in wanting to be socially independent. And so here comes now, a year later, the children of the pandemic. This comes like it's like a big surprise. It's like, where was the science a year ago? Talking about the impacts that quarantining and lockdowns were going to have. We traded off one for another without regard to the whole of the human spirit, the human body. And what's happening now is we've doubled the kids that are suffering for a lifetime. I'm like, whoa, did we throw a life away? Going from stress, anxiety, depression, and the inability. Kids that haven't been going to school. In fact, 3 million kids in our country have checked out and not going to school. Where are they going to be? What baseline of foundation are they going to have to move to the next grade? Are we going to have kids being left back and not progressing, or are we going to just push them through the educational system? Here comes the article. Many children are experiencing disrupted sleep and loneliness. Kids want to play. I say kids. I'm talking the majority of kids. They want to go out and play. They want to go be with their friends. You watch them play in playgrounds, or you even they see some kids on our street here going out into the sidewalks, being distanced and chalking on the streets, and talking with one another, and riding their bikes up and down on the streets together. The good news is we're seeing kids are not as impacted by the COVID as seniors are, certainly my group. And yet we've locked them down. So now we have sleep disorders. Will they get over those? I don't know. You know, when we have emotional trauma, post-traumatic stress and things of that sort, sometimes that gets hardwired. So kids are suffering with disrupted sleep and loneliness. We have elevated levels of mental disabilities, cognitive functioning, even when they're trying to, you get in here, the Zoom was wonderful, it brought us together, and Zoom is now becoming more and more of a detriment, as more and more people are like, wait a minute, I don't want to Zoom anymore. Is there anything I can do other than Zoom? Can we not hop in a car and go meet people in distance in a driveway, or distance on a street sidewalk, or distance in a park? Kids who have to sit in a parking lot. There are kids that don't, we all don't have internet. So there are kids that are going with their computers and sitting in parking lots in a car that their parents have them before, so they can plug into the store internets. I give those kids a lot of credit for having the tenacity. Hey guys, to this goal line. What do we know about that? Our brain